Carrie Fisher really didn't like him more than anyone else. Carrie Fisher was born with the name Carrie Frances Fisher on October 21, 1956, in Beverly Hills, California. She came into the world already around famous people. Her dad was the well-known singer Eddie Fisher, and her mom was the famous actress Debbie Reynolds. This family background put her in the spotlight when she was very young. But instead of just being known for her famous parents, Carrie Fisher made her own special identity. She was known for being super talented, bravely honest, having sharp humor, and caring deeply about people. Fisher's childhood was definitely not normal. Her parents' very public divorce, her dad's next marriage to Elizabeth Taylor, and constant media attention shaped how she understood fame. Growing up in Hollywood showed her the fancy side of life, but also the unstable and difficult parts. These early experiences helped her writing and honest thoughts about living in the public eye. Even with challenges, Fisher was really smart and naturally creative. She went to drama school in London and studied at Sarah Lawrence College before starting her acting career. Carrie Fisher became world famous in 1977 when she got the part of Princess Leia Organa in Star Wars: A New Hope. At only 19 years old, she gave a performance that changed forever how women were shown in science fiction movies. Princess Leia wasn't weak or needed rescuing. She was brave, sarcastic, smart, and very courageous. Fisher gave Leia strength and humor, turning her into someone millions looked up to. The image of Leia became one of the most memorable characters in movie history. Fisher played the role again in The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and Return of the Jedi in 1983. While Star Wars made her famous, Fisher never let herself be limited by one role. She was in many movies throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, including Shampoo, The Blues Brothers, Hannah and Her Sisters, and When Harry Met Sally. Even in supporting roles, Fisher brought depth, humor, and realness, often making movies better just by being in them. Besides acting, Carrie Fisher showed another amazing talent: writing. She was a gifted storyteller with sharp wit and fearless willingness to share her struggles. Her partly true novel, Postcards from the Edge, in 1987, mixed humor and pain as it talked about addiction, recovery, and complicated mother-daughter relationships. The novel's success led to a 1990 movie starring Meryl Streep. Fisher wrote the screenplay, marking the beginning of her respected career as a script doctor in Hollywood. She became one of the industry's best-kept secrets, known for sharpening dialogue and deepening characters. Though often uncredited, she worked on major films like Hook, Sister Act, The Wedding Singer, and Lethal Weapon 3. Directors and actors valued her intelligence, humor, and total honesty. Perhaps one of Carrie Fisher's greatest contributions was her openness about mental health and addiction. She lived with bipolar disorder and struggled with substance abuse for much of her life, issues she refused to hide. At a time when such topics were whispered about or shameful, Fisher spoke openly, courageously, and often hilariously about her experiences. Through books like Wishful Drinking, Shockaholic, and The Princess Diarist, she turned personal pain into powerful stories offering comfort and hope. Her honesty helped remove shame around mental illness. Fisher's wit was legendary. She had an unmatched ability to find humor in darkness, turning tragedy into comedy without making it less serious. Her public appearances and interviews were filled with unforgettable one-liners and sharp observations about fame, aging, and survival. Yet beneath the humor was deep compassion. She understood suffering because she'd lived through it. In 2015, Carrie Fisher returned to Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Her portrayal of General Leia showed both time's passage and the character's lasting strength. Leia was now a seasoned leader, resilient, commanding, and deeply human. Fisher's performance was widely praised. She appeared posthumously in the Last Jedi in 2017, Carrie Fisher's personal life was marked by intensity and emotional honesty. She never pretended love came easily. Over the years, she spoke openly about how deeply romantic relationships shaped, challenged, and sometimes wounded her. One widely remembered chapter was her brief 1980 engagement to comedian Dan Aykroyd. Despite genuine affection, the engagement ended, a decision Fisher later reflected on as realizing love alone wasn't always enough. Not long after, Fisher married singer-songwriter Paul Simon in August 1983. Their intense, artistic relationship was rooted in mutual respect. Simon acknowledged Fisher's influence in his song Hearts and Bones. However, the marriage lasted exactly 11 months. Career pressures, emotional differences, and Fisher's struggles contributed to its end. Despite its brevity, Fisher described Simon as someone she deeply loved. After divorce, they briefly rekindled their romance, showing their lasting emotional pull. Fisher later entered a significant relationship with Brian Lord, a powerful agency executive. Together, they welcomed daughter Billy Catherine Lord, who became the most important relationship of Fisher's life. Motherhood profoundly changed Fisher. However, this relationship ended, particularly after Lord came out as gay. Despite emotional pain, Fisher chose grace and maturity, maintaining a respectful relationship for their child's sake. Fisher's later years were characterized by companionship and friendship. She shared a cordial relationship with musician James Blunt. Their bond showed Fisher's capacity for warmth and emotional intimacy beyond traditional labels. She valued honesty and connection over convention. Carrie Fisher was never subtle speaking her mind, and when discussing George Lucas, her words carried a sting. Of all powerful men she encountered, Fisher seemed to save her most biting humor for the man who made her a global icon. As she once said, "George ruined my life." Behind the joke lay complicated truth Fisher never softened. From being cast as Princess Leia, Fisher felt both thankful and resentful toward Lucas. She admitted, without him, she wouldn't have achieved such fame. Yet that fame became a prison. "I became famous for wearing a bra nobody could breathe in." She joked about Leia's costumes Lucas insisted upon despite her discomfort. What irritated Fisher most was Lucas's emotional distance. She mocked his reserved personality, saying he communicated in looks and pauses. For someone as verbally skillful as Fisher, this silence felt dismissive. She believed Lucas never truly understood her as a person, only as a character. "I don't think George ever saw me," she remarked. "He saw Leia." As Star Wars grew, Fisher's frustration intensified. While Lucas retreated into wealth, Fisher struggled publicly with bipolar disorder and crushing expectations. "He made billions, and I got a lifetime of questions about my hair," she said. Fisher was vocal about how Lucas handled female characters. Though Leia was groundbreaking, Fisher felt Lucas never evolved. "He didn't know how to write women," she said flatly. The gold bikini became a symbol of Lucas's blind spot. That wasn't empowerment. That was marketing. Despite harsh words, Fisher's resentment was complex. "I love George, but I also want to hit him," she said. She understood Lucas wasn't malicious, just oblivious. And that obliviousness hurt more than cruelty. Fisher's hatred of Lucas was less about him and more about what he represented, a Hollywood system elevating myth over people, profit over responsibility. "I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, and rich people hate that." Fisher didn't suffer quietly or protect reputations. Her comments about Lucas revealed the cost of legend making on humans caught inside it. Carrie Fisher had a heart attack on a flight from London to Los Angeles on December 23, 2016. She died 4 days later, on December 27, 2016.